It's really disappointing to marry your son to a weird daughter-in-law. The mother-in-law, looking exhausted, seeks sympathy from relatives. She never improves her cooking, and I've never seen an adult so slow in learning things. The sister-in-law joins in, saying whatever she wants. Enough. I came forward with undeniable evidence in front of the relatives. My name is Emily, I'm 29 years old. I got married 2 years ago, and now I work part-time. My husband, Michael, is a regular employee. We met through a friend and got married after dating for 2 years. We live in a renovated duplex house that belonged to my in-laws. This was a condition before we got married. I wanted to have our own house, so I was initially against it. But after getting married, I realized something. Michael never goes against his mother or sister. I was shocked to see him view his mother like a cult leader. No matter how strange her arguments, he tries to make them sound reasonable. When I said, it's fine to live nearby, but won't it be hard living on the same property, he agreed, but his mother overruled it with one word. I have no say about many things. So we considered a duplex. It was cheaper than building a separate house and saved on utilities. But even here, my mother-in-law's selfishness reaches out. She insisted on living alone. She said she was bothered by other people's living noises. As a result, we built a separate house, and she lives there. I still don't understand why she was so adamant about it. If anything, I'm the one who dislikes it. She also insisted on not having a bath in the separate house, so she comes to our house to bathe every day. She says, I need to take the first bath or I don't feel well, and always takes the first bath. Every day, she uses a spare key to come in before I get home from work, and I find her relaxing after her bath. Then she helps herself to the fridge, as if it's her own house. She even complains to me, saying, at least have a cold beer ready for after my bath. You're such an inconsiderate daughter-in-law. As a result, we end up having dinner together every night. It's almost like she's just living with us, but with a big private room. But this isn't the only problem. Michael has a sister. His sister also has quite a personality. She's not married yet. With her personality, getting married is just a dream. She doesn't even seem likely to get a boyfriend. She has a serious spending problem. She lives in a rental apartment 5 minutes from us, but only works part-time. She always says, I'll quit my job when I get married, so I don't see the point of working full-time. But the real reason is that she's a big fan of underground idols. With a part-time job, she can take time off whenever she wants. It's impossible for a full-time employee in the service industry to have Sundays off every week. For her, underground idol events are the top priority. She attends all the events and boasts about being recognized. She buys multiple overpriced signed Polaroids for $10 each, and her room is full of pictures. And that's not all. She scavenges secondhand shops for worn-out branded items to wear to the events. So every time, she's decked out in outdated, shabby branded clothes. Yet, she has a high sense of pride and always tries to one-up me. Personally, I'm not into flashy fashion. I don't like second-hand items either. She makes snide remarks like, with such a plain face, wearing those clothes makes you disappear into the background. She definitely has a talent for insulting people. Yet, ever since we got married, she's always asking for things every time she sees me. Not just clothes and bags, she even takes pictures with our house's wall as a backdrop to post on social media. She even asked to borrow my engagement ring for an underground idol event. I firmly refuse because I'd be in trouble if she lost it. The common trait between my impossible in-laws: high pride. Despite not having sufficient income, they have expensive tastes. They insist on organic vegetables and can't eat meat unless it's high-grade and branded. They even say we have to go directly to a farm to buy eggs. With these two eating dinner at our place almost every day, I've come to hate dinner. I have to keep an eye on things to make sure Michael doesn't eat anything strange, she says, coming to supervise. Despite their health-conscious attitude, they're both unbelievably overweight. I'm sure their house is stocked with lots of snacks. They take out their frustrations on me every day. Their demands are confusing and crazy. For example, they say, wash the curtains weekly. I have a dust allergy, so vacuum daily, or I'll get sick. I think doing it twice a year is enough. I've never seen anyone wash their curtains every week. With just the two of us working adults, the house stays clean even without daily vacuuming. They just want to complain about something to me. Despite all their complaints, their own spaces are a mess. Someone with a dust allergy couldn't live in such a room, so their arguments are very contradicting. By now, you might be wondering why I married Michael. To put it in simple terms, I was deceived by Michael. Michael told me some grand lies. First, he claimed that saving money was his hobby. Our dates were never extravagant, so I believed him. I wasn't used to luxury either, so the simple lifestyle suits me well. I wanted to save money and invest in my hobbies. When I shared this idea with Michael, he was very supportive, which made me happy. However, after getting married, I found out our financial situation was completely different from what he had told me. He would frequently go to convenience stores on a whim, a far cry from the person he was during our dating days. And his claim about loving his job was a lie. He makes all sorts of excuses to slack off work. I'm sure his company has noticed. Worse yet, his family bands together to work me to the bone. Here's something that puzzles me. Michael told me to quit my full-time job when we got married. He said the condition for marriage was that I become a housewife. At the time, I was so elated that I lost my sense of reason. I never really liked working and I always dreamed of being a housewife. On social media, I saw posts from friends who were housewives, always keeping their homes spotless. I wanted to support my family in a sparkling clean home like theirs. But once we started our married life, it was nothing like what I had been told. First, when we tried to get the house, Michael had debts that prevented us from getting a mortgage. Even the housing company was surprised. When we discussed it earlier, we were told that having land would generally secure approval. Despite knowing about his other debts, he said he had none. Michael lied about many things. Nonetheless, we were married and determined to build the house, so I borrowed Michael the money. Before getting married, I never imagined I would have to take on the debts Michael incurred while he was single. The only saving grace was that I had always liked saving money and had saved a good amount. I'm glad I could cover Michael's debts with it. I have to think that way to keep myself going. Most of my savings were gone right after we got married. And the day I would become a housewife never came. I had to look for a part-time job right away. Fortunately, I found a part-time job quickly as long as I didn't mind the hours. Even just getting by day-to-day was tough with only Michael's income. Besides, I wanted to have kids someday and needed to save for emergencies. I worked every available day I could at my part-time job. However, the people in my house are not cooperative at all. They treat me like a servant. They insist that all the housework is my responsibility. They don't even wash their own dishes. According to my mother-in-law, a part-time job doesn't count as real work. It's insulting. I want to tell them to try working themselves. But if I talk back even a little, they say, if you can leave, then go ahead and leave. No matter how hard I work, there's a limit to my part-time income. I regret quitting my full-time job back then. If I so much as say one word of complaint, my mother-in-law fires back like a machine gun with, you can't live without Michael's income. Women should be more submissive. I don't want the world's most nagging mother-in-law telling me to be quiet. I was troubled by the daily harassment from my in-laws. Then, something unexpected happened. My sister-in-law had a mental breakdown. She was scammed by someone she met on a dating app, spent money on them, and they eventually ran off. She said she gave them everything they asked for. She spent all her money, including her living expenses and rent money. At this moment, I laughed inside, thinking she deserved it. Was it a dream that she used to team up with my mother-in-law to look down on me? But my happiness was short-lived. Somehow, the backlash was harder. Michael's sister is making a living from part-time jobs. She earned enough to cover her living expenses. But she didn't have any savings. Which is understandable, given her chosen career. When she couldn't work due to her breakdown, she couldn't pay her rent. Not my problem. I think she should take this opportunity to stop chasing good-looking guys and face reality. She's an adult, so she needs to solve her own problems. In such a situation, a family meeting was held. Seeing my sister-in-law's dramatically dark expression, I realized how scary illness can be. Their mom and Michael brought a lot of her favorite food to cheer her up. She's already overweight, so I feel like she could go a few days without eating. Then my mother-in-law suggested something even crazier. The healthy one should work. Emily, you should give your sister-in-law $1,500 a month. I was speechless. Why should I give a large sum of $1,500 every month to unreasonable sister-in-law? I couldn't wrap my head around my mother-in-law's crazy idea. $1,500 is too much even for a college student's allowance. This is impossible. Then even Michael said, "Yeah, let's do that. If she doesn't have to worry about money, she'll get better soon. Just focus on getting better now." That $1,500 is mostly to cover her revolving credit card debt. Knowing that, I don't want to pay or lend her money even more. Whether she's really sick or just acting, she is surrounded by an aura of misery. Sending $1,500 would wipe out most of my part-time earnings. I refused, but the family attacked me from all sides. Even Michael said, "Can you take responsibility if something happens to her because you're being stingy, blaming me even though it's not my fault she's sick?" Honestly, even if I refused, there's no other source of money for the family. In the end, I had to give the money. Funny thing, both of them still don't help with any housework. I wake up at 3 a.m. every morning, do all the housework, and then go to my part-time job. I need to give my sister-in-law $1,500 a month and also pay her $500 monthly rent. I wondered why I had to pay her rent too, but I knew she'd end up crashing at our place otherwise. Everyone in this house, including Michael, sees me as just a source of money and their servant. 3 months later, there was a family gathering for my grandmother's third-year death anniversary. I was shocked when my mother-in-law said she invited everyone to our house. She said a total of 40 people were coming. There's no way they could all fit in the house. She then said, "We can just connect the guest room and living room, but I don't want 40 strangers in my house." In these times, it's important to maintain distance between people. I called a nearby restaurant at the last minute, and they agreed to help, but I had to make the reservations, order the food, and pay for everything. Despite all the trouble they've caused, my mother-in-law didn't even say thank you. She told me, "You're finally becoming somewhat useful. You should thank me for raising you," making me not even want to talk to her. On the day, the relatives said things like, "It must have been tough." Thank you. But my mother-in-law and my now fully recovered sister-in-law said, "She's usually useless. Don't praise her too much, or she'll get cocky," which made me angry. Then my sister-in-law said, "Oh, this is delicious. I'm so glad it's not Emily's cooking. It's been a while since I've had something so genuinely tasty," laughing at me. So true. "It's always terrible," they said, laughing loudly and rudely together. They even told the unmarried ones, "It's really tough when Michael married a weird wife. You should be careful in choosing," continuing to insult me. My mother-in-law, with an exhausted expression, tries to gain sympathy from the relatives. She never improves her cooking, and I've never seen an adult so slow in learning things. My sister-in-law joins in, saying whatever she wants. I decided to put my plan into action. If I'm so disliked, I should remove myself from this family. When I said that, all the relatives looked shocked. They were surprised because I usually didn't talk back, but suddenly I was standing up for myself. Michael also panicked and tried to silence me. But I wasn't going to stop. I thought it was a good opportunity to expose my in-laws' true nature. When I said, "Mother, sister, I'm sorry for being an inadequate wife," the two of them looked satisfied. "Good, you understand." now just be quiet. Don't meddle since you're an outsider. Outsider? At that moment, I had no more doubts. I've reached my limit. I should stop paying the allowance and rent for my sister-in-law anymore. When I said that, the relatives started murmuring. They were confused about what was happening. I explained to everyone. I'm glad my sister-in-law has recovered. I was worried when she got scammed on the dating app. When I said that, my mother-in-law desperately tried to silence me. But now, even if she tries to silence me, the audience won't allow it. Everyone wanted to hear the details. I explained how my sister-in-law was scammed, got sick, and how I was giving her money. I also told them how the family didn't do any housework, so I had to do it all by myself. The relatives were furious. They didn't even know that my sister-in-law was only working part-time. She had everyone believing she was working at a major trading company, so they were shocked. They started bombarding her with questions about why she wasn't working and why she was so broke. She seemed to realize she couldn't lie anymore and started speaking honestly for once. When she lied about her health being the reason she didn't work, I corrected her. Come on, stop lying like it's nothing. You're living your life around the underground idol schedules. She glared at me when I said that. Michael tried to intervene, saying, "Stop it. My sister is finally getting better, but she's already fully recovered. I know for a fact she attended all the underground idol events last month. Of course, I'm furious that she used my allowance to take $10 signed Polaroids with random guys. I exposed not only her underground idol obsession but also her irresponsibility with money, her revolving debt, and the allowance issue. Then my sister-in-law started fake crying. She claimed that I always bully her and their mother. I was baffled by the complete reversal of the truth. But for moments like this, I had kept plenty of evidence. When I played the recordings of my in-laws' harassments, all the relatives were in an uproar. Then, I announced my decision to get a divorce. I also told them that I had already packed my things and was ready to leave. My husband was shocked but also angry. He didn't like being told this in front of everyone. The relatives, furious at my in-laws for their lies, were very supportive, boosting my confidence. Despite my husband's anger, the relatives' support helped finalize the divorce quickly. Since the family had no money, I couldn't expect alimony or a fair division of assets. With the help of the relatives, I secured an agreement for the repayment of the money I had lent and the allowances I had given. I felt like I had gained something because I had thought that money would never be returned. Michael signed the divorce papers in front of everyone, so I submitted them to the city hall right away. I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. I felt an immediate sense of relief. Now I don't have to pay an unreasonable allowance or the rent anymore. I have a lot more financial freedom now. I'm happy that I can finally buy stylish clothes I haven't bought in a long time. I'm really glad I got divorced. After that, my in-laws quickly fell apart. Of course, they did. They couldn't live without my income. My husband's income was much less than my part-time earnings. My husband often skipped work and eventually ended up with day labor jobs. He lied to me and skipped work to go gambling. 3 spendthrifts living together could never work out. 4 months after the divorce, I happened to pass by the old house and saw it was up for auction. I couldn't help but smile, thinking they got what they deserved. Since that family gathering, some relatives have been concerned about me and kept in touch. They often updated me on my ex-family's situation. I heard they couldn't make ends meet and were living in a rundown one-room apartment. It was an old-fashioned place with shared bathrooms and showers. My proud in-laws were deeply humiliated and became even more depressed. Without money, they couldn't attend events, and it's no surprise they fought in that cramped space. Being on my own, I felt more relaxed and started to enjoy my work. People around me started saying I've become brighter lately, and I feel glad I got divorced. In the midst of all this, my part-time job offered me a full-time position, and I accepted. Thanks to that, I'm financially stable now. I'm amazed at how my luck has improved since the divorce. With more financial freedom, I started enjoying self-improvement. From now on, I want to take better care of myself and find happiness.